After travelling 500 kilometres offshore to fish around a long extinct volcano, I joined forces with a good mate.
Bad feeling about this.
No. You're kidding me.
We've got at least half a dozen sharks swimming around the boat now.
And while fishing this remote location, we head in search of an old shipwreck. Have a look at that. This show is proudly brought to you by Mercury Marine, BCF, ARB, and Spotter's Sunglasses. I've travelled on board the mothership Big Cat Reality with a group of anglers. Our aim? To find a remote seamount known as Ken Reef. It's an isolated structure that is 15 kilometres long and found 500 kilometres offshore. This reef sits on top of an ancient volcano that rises from thousands of metres of water. I came here in search of the renowned dogtooth tuna and wasn't disappointed with the fishing on offer. But there was more to this trip than just catching these fish. I wanted to explore the biodiversity of this area and also see firsthand its reputed history as a shipwreck hotspot in the Coral Sea. I've come 300 nautical miles offshore to find two things, big fish and a wreck, and I've joined forces with one of the best big fish and wreck finders I know. And Greg and I are here for a trip of exploration and some extreme gear testing. Are you ready, mate?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Greg Lamprecht is well known for producing DVDs, teaching people how to find fish and catch them. He also spends so much time on the water exploring and looking for wrecks in his home waters of Moreton Bay in Queensland. Ken Reef has a notorious history for shipwrecks over the past few hundred years, and our job here is to find evidence of wrecks as well as looking at how and why they become such good fish habitat. Greg is also a tackle company pro staffer, and he has a job testing the quality of gear. The best way to do it? Under extreme pressure from big fish. A big part of this trip is to try and understand structure and how it affects fish, of which wrecks are very often a hard structure which do attract a variety of species. And in line with that, professional pride is definitely at stake here, as Greg and I are going to try and catch a minimum of 5 species if we can find the right holding places. And then we look for bonus points. Oh yes, here we go, Greg. We don't have to go very far. We found that first decent rise in the reef. And so often the birds tell you where that is. When you do find packs of birds, they're often sitting on bait, and the bait's often in very particular places where there's current stacking up off a hard rise. There'll often be a number of fish on that spot. And once you can find those ingredients, fishing suddenly gets a lot easier. Well, mate, this isn't really one of the species we were targeting, but we'll take it as a number. Barracuda, he's up there with one of the really cool predators on the reef, albeit not one of the best eating ones. A very, very vicious set of teeth. Greg's going to be very careful with that. Have a look at that. Something you don't want to get latched onto the end of a finger or an arm or a foot.
They've got some pretty wicked teeth on them, mate. Oh, yeah. And they do stink.
All right, we'll get the lure out of Stinky and we'll move on, eh?
Let's do it.
A barracuda isn't on our hit list, but it counts as one, and we know it can only get better from here.
So obviously a huge passion of mine is trying to teach people what to look for to catch these beautiful trophy fish. So with that, we obviously come around with the searching side of it, trying to find these reef systems, because without that we won't catch the fish that we're chasing. One
of Greg's roles in the product testing side of it is to work with the Mustad product, in particular their hooks. And one of the reasons we really wanted to come here was to see if we could make these hooks fail, and to test that I reckon any red-blooded angler absolutely loves. Can you break gear? They're one of the toughest fishing places on the planet. We'll find out. Today, we're fishing the northern sections of the reef, which are new to us. This means it's all about trolling lures as we learn about the structure and fish holding patterns here. We're on. Oh, and we're off. And
on this one too.
We're on.
They're not real big.
You got one too?
Yep, we're on. Double hook up.
All 3. Yep, we're on the service bait's getting hit as well.
Yep, it's away.
We got 3 now, we're in a little bit of trouble. Righto. How we want to do this?
This could be interesting.
We just left the reef a bit then. We saw a line of birds working and actually stopping and diving and looking active like they were sitting on bait. And as soon as we got to them, we've got 3 rods in action. Once again, you use everything in your favour when you're looking for concentration points for fish. Colour changes, water movement changes, and the birds, one of the best ways to quickly find where fish are concentrating.
Another species.
Yep, rainbow runner. Pretty cool fish, hunts in packs. Not the best table fare. Fantastic baits for much bigger fish. And these are regular food for the likes of marlin and our bigger predators which live in these parts. There you go, mine's free. You bring yours and I'll get this stick bait sorted.
Stick bait sorted.
I'm catching all the undesirables at the moment. We're working at it. We're working at it. They really are good looking fish. You can see where they get the name rainbow runner. Those golds and blue stripes running laterally, very well camouflaged, as you would have to be when you're a fish this size out in these parts. They don't grow a whole lot bigger than this, they live pelagically, and their main job every day is to survive getting eaten by bigger stuff. Fish on, fish on.
Double look up.
I think we might have found them again. Yeah.
Little Mac tuna, once again, not what we're chasing, but part of the ecosystem. We've got no choice but to sift through these fellas to hopefully find the better fish, Nige.
Reef is a solid obstruction in a deep water ocean environment, and the current is pouring around this northern extremity of the reef. This area is earmarked to become a marine park green zone, and we could just be the last anglers to fish in this area.
Oh, big one's on. Oh, gonna get in the bottom there, I reckon.
Yep. We're in all sorts here, mate. So much structure down in the bottom there. Oh dear.
Could be in a bit of trouble, I'd say.
Could be in a bit of trouble. This fish ate a surface stick bait, a big one, positioned way out the back of the boat. Between our diving minnows and the big splashy presentation way out the back, it allows us to put a lot of different approaches out the back which can maybe tempt different fish. Particularly when you've got a boat that's making a noise and you've got fish that are curious. They know when there's vibration in their area and they want to come and have a look. They can either find those diving lures swimming like stray bait fish around the wash, or if they come up later in the wash trail, then they find this big splashy lure looking like it's a stray bait fish. Ooh, just something a bit angry. Oh, it's getting eaten. I think it's getting eaten, man.
Oh,
that's
no.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's getting eaten, yeah. It's getting eaten by sharks. I'm gonna have to go now. It's getting eaten. Oh no.
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 What a shame.
Kidding me. Anyway. Oh, that's disappointing. That is so disappointing. A little bit gutted so far. We've worked really, really hard. And the elements are against us.
We've got at least half a dozen sharks just swimming around the boat now.
So we've gone over a shallow patch of reef there. It shows you how aggressive these guys are. This fish would have come up from 10, 15 metres down to see what's going on with the boat, and he's found this pretty solid lure splashing out the back, looking like a flying fish or a sowie skipping along the top, and he's thought, I'll have you. And then as it is out here in a dog-eat-dog world, he's very quickly been set upon by the other apex predators here. Our day isn't going to plan, but during our trolling we've seen some serious bottom structure, and we decided to jig around it to maybe change our fortunes. Yep, go on, Greg.
Nice fish.
Go on. We had to drop.
Nice little bommy there with
I'm going to go super hard, mate, because we know what else is down there.
Yes.
We drifted while we were lamenting our trout getting eaten by sharks. We drifted over a patch of reef. Greg went, you have to drop a jig on that, Nige, because there's too many fish sitting on it. I've done that. And I've cooked. I'm not sure what yet. It's going pretty hard.
Nice. Oh, the shark's coming. The shark's coming.
Here they come.
They're chasing.
No, it's a GT. No. Oh, it's not.
Unbelievable.
It's one of those blackjack trevally. Oh, you're kidding me.
That's what's left.
We're getting used to holding up half fish, and we so nearly won it too. This is out of control. Sharks in this place shows you that food chain in action. You've got to be quick to beat the predators around here, particularly those sharky ones, look at them, they're just waiting for the rest of it to come back. We've bloated a few species, but we're only getting half points for some of them. Significant and hard structure in the ocean is often home to a huge variety of fish species, and this usually includes a list of predators like these sharks. These animals are programmed to attack any would-be food that seems out of sorts, and you can't help but marvel at the speed with which they decimate their prey. In our travels up the reef, we've come across a pretty solid bommy sitting out in the middle of nowhere with a sign of a few fish above it. We're gonna have a quick jig before we keep going north. There we go, there we go. Oh no, there's a sharky straight away. It's one of the jig hooks Greg was sent to test, and I'm going seriously hard on this, like to breaking point. Oh, it's a bass. Yes. Come over here, Greg. Have a look at this.
That is a beauty, mate.
What a cracker. The red bass, one of our legenids. Legenid is a really big family of fishes. Look at that head structure, those big serrated edges, and that seriously hard cheek system which allows them to survive predation themselves. And that one managed to get through the sharks. I'm very impressed with that. Around here you can't eat these. They're an illegal fish to take because they do carry an abnormal amount of ciguatera toxin which makes us people really sick when we eat it. I'll get this hook out and we'll get this one back. Finally, we have a fish worth bragging about in the boat. It's been a good call to stop and jig on this structure, and with the sounder still lit up, we decided it's definitely worth another drop. Straight away. Oh yes.
Nice fish.
Oh yeah. Right on the way down again. Oh man. Far out, Greg, you've done well.
You're in a bit of trouble here, mate.
I am in all sorts of trouble. This fish is running for home. It finds that structure. I'm done.
You could
One of Greg's many skills is he's exceptionally good at finding bottom structure that hold fish. And part of that is finding wrecks, but it's also finding isolated little patches of reef. Speaking of reef, I'm in it. Hang on. I think I've got him.
Got him?
Got him out. I got him out, Greg.
Beautiful.
You're kidding. A lot of these predatory fish which live close to home, even the pelagics for that matter, when they are hooked and they think something's grabbed them, they very often run for the first bit of structure they can find. And I've seen some really cool footage that Greg's got underwater before of fish literally running and rubbing their face against hard structure on the bottom. It's really cool to watch. It shows you what they do when they're a little bit stressed. Oh, look at this.
Look at that.
Look at this thing. That's getting bigger and brutal. Hurry up, mate. Oh, have a look. I can't even get my hand around its tail. Look at that for a chunk of a red bass. I mean, nearly one of the biggest ones I've caught, Greg.
That is a cracker, mate.
That is a cracker.
You were
make us work.
very lucky to get that out.
Yes. Have a look at that for a red bass. Man, that's where the power comes from. Look at the size of the tail. For the size of this fish, look at that. That is a big muscle-bound tail with a very big sail on it. They can generate plenty of torque really quickly. And they know where home is, and that's all this fish has done. He's tried to get his head back into a hole, and with a bit of persistent driving from Greg, we've managed to win one.
So the big red bass that Nigel just got here is often confused with the mangrove jack. There's a few easy ways to tell the difference between these two species. The easiest way between the mangrove jack is that they don't actually have that large deep pit forward of the eye there like this bass does. They're slightly more orange. They actually have highlighted spots in between the scales, so you'll see it's a lot different to a mangrove jack. Mangrove jack actually don't have those white or light coloured spots amongst the scales, so that's definitely the easier way. They are a lot thicker fish. They do look slightly different, so hopefully if you do catch one, you know which species it is, because obviously these guys do hold a lot of ciguatera poisoning.
Clunk. It just stopped. It all just stopped, Greg.
Good hit.
How aggressive the head shakes on this thing. Oh, on. You got him? Oh, Greg. Doubled up. Thanks for coming.
Oh, you got me.
Did you? I did the old hand on the spool because he was pulling through drag. Far out. These things have got immense power. Talk about torque. Low end torque in the fish. You get those, some species that are just super quick, like your wahoos, some of your pelagics, and then you get some of these reef fish and they've got such big tails, big muscly shoulders, and when they want to go somewhere, they just grind you down into the reef and they know exactly where they're going. Darkest, deepest hole they can find. Look at this for a fish. Come on. Here's my
now that is a awesome
that
trout,
is a horse. Yes. Have a look at that.
Now that's a trout. Hey?
That's a trout.
That's awesome, mate.
That is a trout. A coral trout, of which there's a number of different species within that family. And this one is a blue spot. Very similar coloration to the common trout. There's ways to identify, and the chef on board Big Cat Reality
picked it up.
A really good lesson on it last night. He said the opaque nature of the fins. The common trout have a much bigger blue ring around their eye, and they have a lot more spots than this guy. These spots are a little bit bigger and more widely spaced. How is that for a trout? I'm kind of liking these jigs, mate. We haven't broken them yet, and I do not know how. We've tried very, very hard.
So a huge part of our trip to Cannon Reef is obviously to do with a lot of product testing. Obviously hooks are a vital part to make sure that we land a lot of these fish. So whether it's, you know, the trebles, inline singles, all the way through to jigging hooks, butt tail jigs, we put them to the test, make sure they pass in this rough environment with obviously huge fish in this area. If they pass and it does everything it should, then it gets sold to the public out there.
We come across another significant lump in the bottom. About 400 or 500 metres of totally flat structureless country, and then a bump absolutely coated in bait fish and a few significantly bigger arches. This would be a fantastic place to drop a jig. I'm tempted just to... Oh,
he's on.
Didn't get anywhere near the bottom.
Sharks everywhere.
Didn't get anywhere near the bottom. The line just stopped. I went, oh dear. Made the cardinal mistake of had the drag setting on and troll setting. The interesting part of lures that sink is that we often just use them to get to bottom so we can catch fish that are on the bottom. So often, the fact that it's rushing towards the bottom makes another predator that's sitting in the mid-water think it's a bait fish that's running away. If you've ever seen a dog that's tempted to bite someone and that person suddenly runs away, so often they get bitten. It's the same instinct in gear. Because that jig is flying towards bottom, very often gets you the bite. You know what amazes me about GT is that they're so aggressive that even the sharks are really cautious about biting them. That thing came up with so many sharks behind it. Yes, Grego. Yes. Woo!
Nice
Racking
GT,
him up, mate, another species.
Beautiful.
And he would have been, you spotted him, he would have been sitting, just a big arch on the sounder sitting in amongst a cloud of bait, and we dropped our jigs right through it. It was either your jig or my jig, and he happened to zane in on that little bucktail.
They love these bucktails.
They are loving the bucktails. What I love about them is scientists will tell you they make up such a big percentage of the apex predatory biomass. So while they are so important, they're quite an important commercial species around the planet, but in our waters we tend to let them go a whole lot, and I think it's important to do that.
Great sporting fish, mate.
Fishing these jigs like this, it's a very easy process. We're just dropping it, watching a colourful braid run out through our fingers, and the moment it hits bottom, casual little lift and a stop. So you're trying to not take the jig too far away from the fish. We know they're there, we can see them on the sounder. What we want our jig to look like is just a distressed and an isolated bait fish suddenly pops up in their space. A couple of little jigs to make it look injured, throw out those wounded distress signals, and then leave it in the space, and so often that's when the bite happens. Yep. Oh! So hard, dude. You right? Yep. Got him off bottom. Now what? Go, mate. Work it. Work it, Greg. Oh, that's all right, mate. You got him. You might have him. Good work.
So just dropped down a metal jig there. Just hit bottom. Been slowing the motion of those jigs up while we've been out here. Seems to be getting the better bites. Normally jigs are retrieved at quite a fast pace, but slowed it down. We've been getting good fish on them.
That is a big green jobfish, Greg. The best part is there's another number, another species.
It is.
And the green jobfish, one of several members of the jobfish family, and the thing I really like about these fish is that they hang out with the reef species. They'll feed on the bottom and they're quite as happy coming right up to the top. So they're really in between the pelagic species and the reef species. But have a look at that. He's trying his best to chomp you on the finger. Everything around here has significant teeth, and he'll spend his life working out opportunistic wherever the food is. He'll be grabbing squid one minute, he'll be chasing down a pack of bait fish the next, and if a crab comes along the way, it's fair game as well. As our jigging session slows up, it's time to get back on the troll and look for new areas worth dropping a jig. The hardest part around here is travelling far enough to find new ground. I don't think it's very big, mate. Oh. Yeah, it's got a bit of weight.
Yeah, it's starting to...
It's got a bit of weight about it. It's getting bigger, yeah, there we go.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking. That's more like the run we wanted, Greg.
That's exactly what we want.
Now we need a bit of luck. Now we need no other wire munching critters to come around. We want no sharks.
We got a bit against us.
Oh, you got something on you.
Oh, something had to go then.
Oh, I fell off.
Oh no. No.
Yep. Got to take a break, surely.
Oh.
That was a wahoo.
Yep.
That ran low on. I think I've been bitten off, mate.
Ah, bugger.
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Yep.
They're obviously in packs and just eating the swivels, though.
That's what we're dealing with. Fish like wahoo, very sharp teeth, and they're travelling in packs. And we hook one, and they swim away, and the pack goes with them. And of course, with competition, another fish swims with it and looks at this piece of food hanging in its mouth, starts slashing away, and if it hits that, it's all over. That's happened a few times today now. It's getting very frustrating. Big Cat Reality carries a series of 4-metre tenders on these long-range missions, and we've got other boats and anglers fishing in the waters around us. We haven't got long to lament our lost wahoo, as we get the call on the radio that another tender nearby has hooked up to a sailfish, and we quickly head over to watch the action unfold. This is angler Dane's first sailfish, and he's suitably pumped to get this fish aboard. After a quick photo, these boys are really keen to get this fish back in the water to make sure it stays healthy. Now that we know there's a few sails about, we quickly change tact, put a skirt out the back and start trolling really quickly.
Oh, it's on again.
This might be a sail, you know.
You can see the bill, you can see it. Oh, it's a sailing.
It's a sail. There it goes. There it goes. We've got a sail on.
Come off.
Ah! Well, there, see, he's still on it, he's still on it, he's still on it. Still on it, still on it, work it.
Just put it in gear, put it in gear.
Still there. Eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it. Oh, come on.
Yep,
yes.
on.
Yes. That's too quick, I can keep up with him. I know.
Slow it up, slow it up, slow it up.
Oh, look at it, it's jumping a mile away. There he goes. That's a very big line belly.
Huge.
Look at this thing go.
I hope this sticks, mate. We've had a rough day. We've
had a rough day. Well, in normal days fishing, you think it's pretty damn good, but we've lost the big fish. All our big fish, bar a pretty sizable trout and a red bass, all our big pelagics have fallen off and got bitten off.
That fish would have had at least probably 20 odd goes of that lure. We hooked up, actually threw the hook. After it's about third or fourth jump there, wasn't it, Nige? It came straight back. We've obviously got a pack of them here.
We've got one little pusher on board. Got pusher, I mean the skirt. A little bait fish, almost squid-like profiles, but they just bubble through the top section of the water, and it's that bubble trail which attracts predators like sailfish. They're looking for bait like flying fish, stuff that's moving around the top. And they hone in on it pretty quickly, bash it with their bill, and come and eat it. And it's very, very exciting to watch when they do it. In terms of sport, it's pretty hard to beat the sailfish. They jump, clocked as the quickest fish on the planet, speeds of over 50, 60 mile an hour.
That's right.
Punching that 100, 110 kilometre per hour mark. It's an exceptionally quick fish, so they take a lot of string off that reel very, very quickly. We deserve this.
I don't think I've been so nervous and pulling a fish up, mate, after the morning we've had, but let's change it right here, eh?
We deserve it, yeah, absolutely. Stubborn fish.
Very stubborn. He's sitting down on his side there at the moment, that big sail out. All right, we're getting very close here. We're just there. Nearly on the leader. Righto, quick. Oh, he's cut it back the other way.
Hey, going the other way.
He did a Yui right beside us. Bugger. There's a bad feeling about this.
Have you?
I don't know if a shark's grabbed him.
What?
It's head up and down. It shouldn't be doing what it's doing.
I think a shark's grabbed it.
Could have been, yeah.
It stopped swimming though, but surely. How you going, Digo?
Got a wahoo yet?
No, we've been sitting on a sail for about 30 minutes now. It's staying deep, we're trying to get it up.
Okay, you're fighting one, are you?
Oh, yes, we are. This fish is staying deep, not moving much, and we start fearing the worst. This has been an hour and 15 minutes now that you've been working away at this.
Oh, I'm burning.
We're suspicious this fish might have tail wrapped itself. So we're suspicious it has died, which is disappointing to both of us. We do want to try and have a look for ourselves. Keep the angle going. Go, you're close, Grego. We're relieved to get this fish close to the boat and see that it's in great health. It was just being very stubborn. I got it.
Yes!
I got it, Greg. Woo! I've got it.
You built it.
Yeah, never seen an angler fight so long and so hard for a fish as Greg has done for that. That's amazing. Have a look at this for a fish. That big sail, that's how they hunt. 20-odd blue stripes down the side. So good at changing colour to showcase to other fish around it what their hunting mode is. When they go in for the kill, they light up, the others know to stay away, and they use these massive sails to look twice to 3 times their size, and they herd up bait fish and then go flying in to grab them. They're just the coolest hunter out here. Yes, Greg, you absolute legend. Look at that.
Look at that.
Look at that for a fish.
Hooked in the top of the sail, eh?
That's all right, it wasn't coming off.
No.
How cool is this? We got a remora which has been stealing a ride, bit of a symbiotic relationship, and this, have a look at that. This is how deadly these animals are. He's been speared by one of his mates when they've got their signals wrong, and that is an old war wound. There's a little bit of bill still stuck in this fish that I'm going to probably leave there because maybe he's learned how to live with it. I'm going to get a very quick photo on this, let this fish go. That is one of the coolest things I've seen,
awesome,
mate. You're a legend.
That's cool.
Well done.
That was great.
Well done.
Yeah!
Have a look at that. One of the coolest predators you find out in the wide coral sea. Like the sailfish, and that is how he hunts. Check out that, mate. One of the more magnificent features that you see in the coral sea, I reckon, and our coral sea predators, is that.
This is it.
On a fish, a sail like that, doesn't get any better.
Mate, that's unreal.
What we're doing now is driving this fish. Greg's gonna get its head down. We're gonna swim it. They like moving at speed. We're gonna get oxygen through it, let it regain some energy, and then let it carry on down to the depths to join its mates. One of the coolest things you'll see in fishing right there. After a day that started with frustration, we've ended it in the best way possible. And now it's time to start thinking about heading back home and formulating a plan for tomorrow. Our day exploring this part of the reef has come to an end with plenty of highs and lows. It's time now to get back to our mothership, the Big Cat Reality. We haven't found our wreck yet, but one man that knows a whole lot about the history in this part is Skipper James. We might be having a chat to him tonight to find out where we start heading tomorrow. It's great to get back to the mothership and hear that all tenders experience some world-class fishing. But now I've got to find Captain James and hopefully get some information to help us find our wreck.
Going on, how you going?
It's a big day out there today. James loves getting a report on everyone's day and ensuring that his anglers are happy. But he has a wealth of knowledge on this area and its history that I want to tap into. Yeah. We didn't find our wreck.
Nothing up the north there?
No, we've seen the north, so tomorrow we'll start working south and stuff.
Okay.
But we did, while we were fishing and looking, started wondering why do so many wrecks end up in this part of the world?
Well, I can imagine going up on this reef so far out, A, no one know about it, but B, they were timber vessels, that the sharp abrasive formations out here, as you saw today, will destroy those vessels basically overnight.
Yeah, so you're stuck there until you're hoping someone finds you.
You're gone. Out here look quite lonely. There's no islands or cays. Porpoise Cay seems a little bit more, you know, civilised to be wrecked on, even though it's pretty tough. Out here it is harsh. There's really nothing but a couple of sandbanks.
Yeah, righto. Oh, well, tomorrow's another day. We'll go searching for a wreck and we'll hopefully find those ones that got away today.
There's plenty of country to explore.
I'll let you get some sleep, mate.
No worries.
Start again tomorrow.
Into it.
Our last day dawns on Ken Reef, and it's a chance to find out more about the fish life that call this impressive structure home. But it's also our last opportunity to find evidence of wrecks, and in particular, the remains of a longliner wreck that is apparently visible in these parts. Our plan this morning is to start in the northern sections of the reef, try and get our species count up into double figures. We're going to work our way the whole way south and try and find this elusive wreck. Our first bite comes almost straight away, but just like yesterday, it isn't a species we want to see aboard. All we seem to be doing at the moment is playing with sharks, so while we're waiting for this tide to change its mind a little, we might scout around and have a little bit of a jig, play with some reef species, and when we think those pelagics are getting a bit more active, get back into trolling mode. Lock drag, feels a bit trouty. I'm gonna go hard against sharks here. Come on. Yes.
Nice.
Yes, Greg, have a look at that.
Beautiful.
Oh, I never get tired of seeing them come on. Look at that.
Beautiful.
Have a look at that. The coral trout starting life as females. They start changing sex around that 25 to 60 centimetres. And they live to around 20 years. Being a demersal species, they often don't stray too far. Unless competition on a certain patch of reef gets too big and they decide to move onwards. The Bonavista, the Hester, the Jenny Lynn are some of the names of the ships that have come to grief in these parts. And you just imagine being a sailor many, many years ago, cruising through these waters, thinking your way outside the outer perimeter of the reef, cruising happily along, and suddenly, without much warning, you come across a chunk of rock like this in the middle of the ocean and it's too late to change course, and suddenly your day goes from pretty good to very, very bad. Our fishing day is starting out slowly and we hear similar reports from other boats. It looks like we're back to jigging the bottom to see what we can find. Got him. Go on. Yep, on the spin, on the spin. That was as fast as I could wind. Seen a lot of fish sounding mid-water. The beauty of a jig, you can hop on the bottom or you can wind them back as quick as you can go. And I reckon out here, speed of predators, you cannot physically wind fast enough to get a lure away from them. Oh gee,
little bluefin.
It's another species. Yeah, beauty. It's a good one too. Oh, that's a big bluefin. Have a look at the colours on this fish. This beautiful blue water out here, these guys match it. Look at that for iridescent blue, blue spots, blue lining on the fins, on the back. They're just such a special looking fish out here. Don't grow as big as our giant trevally, but they very much hunt and attack bait in the same way. They fight well above their size class. They're always welcome on this boat, just for their beauty. Now this is very cool. We haven't found a longliner on the sand cave, but we reckon we've found got to be a piece of ship wreckage from another one. And it almost looks, that looks like an anchor.
Absolutely, that's definitely an anchor.
It's got to be an anchor there, and there's another chunk of metal that's not rock behind it. That has got to be a piece of evidence of a previous wreck here. On the wreck we have a fish. You drive us straight out, mate. He smashed it.
Yeah, he did.
Didn't he? We're looking at the shoreline and suddenly there's a drag noise. Like, what's that? I forgot we were fishing.
Hit the stick bait out the back too.
Oh.
Nice.
Made us work for it. Wow. Up in the shallows, these fish, a real trait of them is to run the gauntlets of these reef. They love it when there's stuff getting smashed up in that shallow sections of the reef. They come along and bait gets stirred up. There's extra bait fish activity in there, and there's their crustaceans and prawns getting It's thrown out by all that rough water, so you very often find these guys running that close fringe on the inside and the outside of the reef systems. It's not a total surprise to find one of these there. As we near the southern extremities of the reef and the most prominent sand cay on the whole of Ken Reef, we spot signs of a structure that looks out of place. With some careful navigating, we're able to make our way ashore for a much closer look. At first glance, the sand is only home to hundreds of nesting birds, but then we spot the first piece of metal protruding from the sand. This is what we came looking for. A long line of wreck.
Unbelievable. Last cay we've looked at.
The local wildlife is used to living with this foreign structure, but for us, finding this wreck that we'd only heard about is really, really satisfying. 300 nautical miles we travelled to come and find this long line of wreck, and also the fishing surprises that Ken Reef would hold. Thank you very much, my friend.
Awesome.
I've learned a bucket load about how to find fish and the way another angler goes about it, and we've had a truckload of funny. We've played with a variety of species. Found the wreck. Got 2 hours now to get back to the mothership, stow away and get ready for a long, long steam home.
Let's do it.
Oh, mate. It's intriguing to spend some time on the sand cay and see just how nature makes the most of a boat hull that has found its way ashore. And it made me even more curious about what Greg discovers on his wreck finding missions. Greg spends days just looking for wrecks and then putting cameras down to the bottom to see what species call them home. It's easy to see that these structures attract a huge variety of sea life.
Yeah, so to find a lot of the wrecks, Nigel, what I do is put aside roughly around sort of 10 hours a day. Big part of my fishing and obviously a passion is to find new spots. A lot of that comes to finding small rocks that hold the trophy fish. To do that, you need to spend a lot of time sounding. And obviously by doing that, you're finding a lot of other little bits and pieces. A big part of that's obviously wrecks.
While Greg talks of his lessons from the depths, the crew of Big Cat Reality point the bow towards land and begin steaming. We're the glasses out on our way back, and it's too good to not be towing a big lure as we make our way home. A screaming reel and thrashing big fish bring the boat to action, and angler John Carmody gets to play with his very first blue marlin.
Just keep ticking slowly, James. Go to the starboard slowly, please.
Keep winding. Stay on him. There you go, JC.
Good, mate. Good support crew here. A marlin. Very, very excited.
A trip of a lifetime ends in a truly spectacular fashion, with a 300-pound blue marlin being quickly pulled aboard for a photo before release. The mission to find Ken Reef was worth every second of the 80 hours of return travel it takes to find this amazing reef system. The history this area holds and the biodiversity of its local fishery are world class. It will be hard planning the next dream fishing trip with a benchmark like this place to compete with. For details on all the equipment we used in today's show, head to our website afn.com.au, follow the links to the fishing show, and we'll tell you exactly what we used. And to stay up to date with our latest adventures, head to our Facebook page, AFN Fishing and Outdoors, and you'll find out exactly where we are and when.
It's Bill Klassen here from The Fishing Show, and if you like this instructional video and want to learn more, it's simple. Go to fishingshowtv.com.au and see a whole host of additional videos.